Hello, welcome to Irish Football Fan TV. We're here with basically this week in Irish football. I'm on my own today. The lads aren't around, so I just said I'd have a quick, brief look through. I'm also live on TikTok here on my phone as well as YouTube here on the camera. So yeah, I have a little bit of a running order, but I suppose just to kick things off, we'll revisit this week. Earlier in the week, obviously Ireland's chances of going out of the World Cup basically happened because yeah, we had a shambles against Armenia and Hungary, and unfortunately, it means that it looks as though we're pretty much out of the World Cup qualifiers after two games. And the FAI CEO Dave Correll as well, or chief executive, whatever way you want to put it, he's basically said that the manager's job is safe, or he is not under any pressure after the two games of a 6 game window, which I think, like, I can understand to an extent, but I also think that his contract shouldn't be renewed at the end of the campaign because of all the stuff he's said and all those sort of things. Um, there is obviously a reason that I believe that he shouldn't be the manager at the end of the campaign. I don't think the FAI can afford to sack him, so I think he'll be in charge for the remainder, and that's basically what they're saying without saying it, if that makes sense. And then it comes down to who will replace Hamer Hagumson at the end of it. I mean, there's arguments for everybody. We've had arguments on our channel the other day. We had a video on that about what managers we went through: Robbie Keane, Roy Keane, Damien Duff, and Stephen Bradley, and we all gave cases for all of the candidates basically. And there might be some that you feel are in there that we haven't mentioned, but you take politics away from it. I think Robbie Keane's an ideal candidate. You take the fact of the way Damien Duff walked away from the last job and his kind of relationship with the FAI. Would he be a good candidate? I think he would be a good candidate, but would he live with the FAI? Would he like working with them? I'm not so sure. And then Stephen Bradley has a really good argument. He's done lots for Shamrock Rovers. His son is now cancer free, which means that he can look at other jobs. It was preventing him from maybe going and getting jobs over in the UK because obviously he had to stay and be a father for his son. And yeah, now obviously Josh has got the all clear, so that's really good news as well. I think that's great to hear as well. And yeah, so I think when you're looking at him, you're thinking, oh, Stephen Bradley could be a good option. Look how well Shamrock Rovers have been going in the league in Europe in the last number of years. So yeah, look, there's arguments to be made about them all. Roy Keane, for me, I just don't think it's a runner. I just don't think it makes any sense. It might from a commercial point of view. But other than that, I don't think as a football thing, I think those days of screaming and going mad at people and stuff like that, I think it only gets you so far, and especially with footballers, the way they're so precious these days, you can't say anything, as I said previously, or they end up not liking you. So yeah, but there's some stuff coming in here. There's comments coming in TikTok, but there's not comments coming in on YouTube just yet. Thanks for the follows. Keep them coming in, and a lot of people saying that it's not the manager, it's the players that are the problem, and that'll probably come into the equation when we're talking a bit about players in a few minutes as well. But I just want to revisit the games just quickly. I mean, the Hungary game, we showed great character to come back into that game, but I do think we were probably blessed with that red card for Salai for Hungary, and that gave us an opportunity then to basically get back into the game. We scored through Evan Ferguson again. He was the only positive over the two windows, him and Kelleher, I thought, because Evan getting the goals, he was getting hardly any chances, any service or anything like that, and he was still scoring goals. So I think that's a huge positive. I think now we can say that we can rely on Evan Ferguson, that we know that if he gets one or two chances in a game, he is clinical and we can depend on him to be our focal point. And then Queeveen, he kept us in games and stuff like that. So they're the only positives out of the game. I mean, you watch back the Armenia game. I didn't actually watch it back because I couldn't bring myself to do it. But when I think back to how much we were played off the park by a side who have one or two good players, and that's about it. We just completely didn't turn up. The tactics were all wrong. The lineup, the shape, everything was completely wrong. I wouldn't mind the manager's had so long to prepare for these games. It's not like he's having games every single week. He has had these two games in mind for a long time, so I'd imagine he'd be preparing for them for a long time. and plan Bs and all of that sort of thing. But we only seem to have a couple of ideas, and that long throw that he makes Jake O'Brien take on the right hand side, that doesn't make any sense to me. So it's a little bit of a strange one, in my opinion. I think to keep doing the same thing over and over again with that throw in, and it never beat the first man. Every time Darragh O'Shea went to win it, someone else got to the ball off the opposition's team. So I couldn't understand it, to be honest with you. The throw in, it was a bizarre tactic, and it didn't work, and it shouldn't be used. Um, Unless you have someone who could really fire it in there and get Jake on the end of the long throw. Wouldn't that make a lot more sense? I'd say he's about, I don't know, 3 inches taller or 4 or 5 inches taller than Darragh O'Shea. Even Nathan Collins would have been a better option than Darragh O'Shea getting on the end of the headers. But anyway, that's I'm scratching my head because I just don't know why you would do that. Dara Mannion's come in there on YouTube. He says, "Do you think John Patrick or Luke O'Connell would be good replacements for Cullen as defensive midfield?" I don't think that replacing Josh Cullen is going to be the issue here. I think you got to think Josh Cullen's played a lot of games for Ireland and is experienced in playing for Ireland. He's obviously a lot better for Burnley because he's playing with that club week in, week out, and he's more consistent there. But I think Josh is a little bit of a victim, is that he doesn't have too many other players around that create anything, so he spends a lot of the time defending the ball, and then if anything goes wrong or anything like that, generally kind of is a fault of his or someone in defence, mainly the two centre backs. It's usually one of those three who has an error in them, it seems, for Ireland at the moment, and maybe Kelleher before that, but obviously he's playing first team football now, so he seems quite sharp. He seems to be doing really well in the Premier League as well. So Tyrone Stack comes in and says that dream pick for the manager would be Damien Duff going forward. And then a few people are getting the follows, and make sure you keep the follows coming in on TikTok there, and the subscribes coming in on YouTube. I didn't see Gits Free Kick Jam. I haven't seen it yet, but I'll be speaking about the games at the FAI Cup towards the end as well. So yeah, we'll get into the how the weekend's gone anyway. In the Premier League, well, yeah, Jake O'Brien played 90 minutes at right back for Everton in a 0-0 draw with Aston Villa. It was actually a good performance by Everton and by Jake. And Seamus Coleman and Mark Travers were both on the bench as well. Matt Doherty didn't play any minutes for Wolves in their 1-0 loss to Newcastle. Nathan Collins and Queven Keller played in a 2-2 draw against Chelsea. They both got 90 minutes there. And obviously Keith Andrews is managing there as well. So it was actually a long throw that got the equaliser, would you believe, in the week that we've had. But that's been the Premier League news. Josh Cullen today played 63 minutes in a 1-0 loss to Liverpool. They obviously lost in the last minute with a Mo Salah penalty. In the Championship, one that we haven't seen or heard from in a while is John Egan with a 97th minute equaliser against Hull yesterday. For Hull against Swansea yesterday. So that was his first goal for Hull, and maybe someone who's a forgotten leader within the bunch. He was captain of Ireland not too long ago. And maybe he could be someone that you're kind of looking at, because Seamus Coleman is just getting that little bit older. So don't know if he's going to be in the squad. But David Moyes came out this week and said how amazing Seamus Coleman is to have around the club at Everton for him, and he's lucky to have him, and that he gets on the lads. So I think maybe even in a sense you could bring Coleman in as just maybe you won't play him, but you have him there, maintaining standards, or even if he doesn't come into play. But I don't know what way that will work. Obviously he's a young family, so you can't expect him to just take time off to just come over to help Ireland and then go back to his club, and he gets no time off then. So it is a bit of a tricky one. But John Egan could be one that could come back into the squad if he does well. It's just one that I thought of recently. He obviously scored his first goal. He was captain of Ireland not too long ago as well. Adam Ida played in that game as well, making his Swansea debut, got 25 minutes towards the end. Bosa Lawal, who got no minutes in the Ireland camp last time around, he got a goal to win the game for Stoke against Birmingham. Nice looping header. So if you haven't seen that one, you should check that one out. It's actually quite a good header. And then Ipswich beat Sheffield United 5-0. Chidozie Benny couldn't play that one because he's obviously on loan from Ipswich, but they won 5-0. Casey McAteer and Darragh O'Shea started, and surprisingly, considering he didn't play against Armenia the other night, but Sammy Smodux, he actually played for Ipswich, he played the last half an hour, I think it was. And then today in the Championship, Ryan Manning and Gavin Bazunu played 90 minutes, while Finn Azaz played 74 minutes in Southampton's 0-0 draw with Portsmouth in the Championship. That was a bit of a feisty affair, a lot of yellow cards in that one. But yeah, that's been the Premier League and the Championship news. I'm just going to read out some comments while I'm doing this as well. So if there's anyone kind of came back into it, I think a few people were asking about Damien Duff or something like that. A few people saying get Garcia McNulty into the Irish squad. He was player of the season for Zwolle last year. I actually saw him because I went over to see Alkmaar against Zwolle, and Troy was obviously playing in that game, and they had a nice embrace after the game. He was quite good. He done well against Troy, I thought, but I just think that league isn't the best, if I'm being honest, and I don't think it's going to be a true test of if we were to get him in. When I do think that a John Egan or a Seamus Coleman or someone like that of that kind of mould, because Robbie Brady missed out. We didn't have any experience in Armenia, and it showed. It really showed, and Hungary as well. I think that's where you need a Seamus Coleman. Matt Doherty's seen his experience, but based off the last two games, I wouldn't be relying on him basically for leadership in that sense. I mean, a lot of them are captains at their clubs anyway, so they should this leadership thing shouldn't really be a thing. It's like, we are. We're playing for our country here. The 4 or 5 for them are captains of their clubs, so they should get together and just say, right, let's pull it together here. But a lot of them are playing Championship and stuff like that, not the top level. Seamus Coleman has been playing Premier League for as long as he's been playing for Everton. I know there's been some narrow escapes, but he's been playing top level Premier League every week. When he's been at Everton, he's been huge throughout that as well. But I do think it's going to be needing a bit of sense for the next window to bring in some experience, because some of them have shown they can't be relied on for experience and leadership. But today Evan Ferguson played in the second half. He was rested by Gasparini for Roma in a 1-0 loss to Torino. And he came on the 46th minute, but was unfortunately not able to get a goal. But it was a bit strange that he rested him, obviously scored, but I know Evan's been going through a bit of a tough time with the loss of his granddad and stuff like that, so I'll be hopeful that he will he'll be recovering from that. Obviously got the 2 goals for Ireland last week as well, so that'll help. Just people coming in on TikTok here as well, so I'm just trying to go through them all. Make sure you are following, make sure you subscribe as well if you are joining on TikTok. If you're joining on YouTube, make sure you subscribe as well. And Dara asks, how do you think we'll do in Euro 2028, Paul? Well, unless we start producing some players fast, or we get someone like Kieran Dewsbury Hall into that team, then I think it will be tough, to be honest with you. And then user 6614 says that Josh Cullen looks like a different player with Burnley compared to Ireland. Yeah, I know. But look, he's playing with those players week in, week out. He knows what players are going to be playing with him. And I know he's played with Jason Knight and probably Finn Azad more than he's played with some of the other midfielders. But I do think that if you're looking at his, weekly, he knows what people's game is. He's used to playing with similar players every week, whereas he plays with them every 3 months or something like that. You know what I mean? It's not all the time, so it's hard to build up that relationship and trust. That's the only well, I'm not giving an excuse, because it's not my issue, like it's their issue, but I think that would be the only thing that would be stopping them. And then excuse me, in the SPFL, Jamie McGrath scored the 86th minute penalty as an equaliser in Hibs' 3-3 draw with Dundee United. And Liam Scales played 90 minutes in Celtic's 2-1 win over Kilmarnock, and Kelechi Iheanacho scored a late, I think it was the last kick of the game, a penalty, and that sent the Celtic fans wild. And obviously their old bitter rivals lost yesterday, I think their hearts as well. So a good result and a good weekend for Scales anyway. And in the Bundesliga and abroad, we have Michael Obafemi played in Bundesliga 2 for Bochum. He made his debut in a 1-0 loss to Paderborn. Conor Nuss played and scored in a 3-1 win against Ryan Johansson's SV Wehen Wiesbaden. So yeah, it's a funny one. A little bit of an Irish derby there between them two. In the Turkish Super League, Festia Bazeli, who was missing from the squad last month or last week even, has played 90 minutes at right back in Besiktas's 2-1 loss to Besiktas. Cengiz under scoring late on there for Besiktas to give them the win, which I'm sure was devastating for Festi. But yes, Festi playing 90 minutes, doing quite well over in Turkey. Be interested to see if he does come back in as a right back option. Would Jake O'Brien maybe go into centre back then, or would that give the squad a bit more balance for the next couple of games? Obviously, we have to go to Portugal in about 4 weeks' time or just under. And then in the MLS, Andrew Moran made his debut for LAFC, coming on as a late sub in the second half there. And Connor Ronan got an assist for Colorado Rapids to win the game against Houston Dynamo there. I think it was a corner kick that he whipped in, and it was met on the head then, and he won in the MLS. So yeah, someone says there, Brian Ten says, need to get Joby Bellingham in. I think he'll be playing for England, if I'm being honest with you. So I think that he will be going playing for Ireland. I don't think that, for England. I don't think he'll be playing for us. But look, if he does, then that'd be great. But if he doesn't, then we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, let me know on YouTube as well. I might come on up on the screen because it's telling me I'm not. And on TikTok, people are joining in there anyway. So yeah, what else have we got then? In the FAI Cup and in the League of Ireland, of course, as well, just to kind of finish up. I'll come back to the questions in the comments then, but I'm just trying to give you a breakdown of this week in Irish football. Bows lost 4-3 to Derry City in a thriller. That was obviously in the race for Europe and second place, because it looks as though Shamrock Rovers have the league wrapped up there. But really good win for Derry on the road. The fans seem to love it as well. Mikey Duffy, Adam O'Reilly, and Eddie Amy with the winner laid on. But Bows did show a lot of character to get back into it. In the FAI Cup quarterfinals, there was a lot of drama in them. Yeah, I mean, Kerry, they were 3-0 down in, I think it was the 61st minute. They scored in the 77th minute. Owen Elding got a hat trick, and then the comeback was on for Joe Adams, scored in the 77th minute. Then Cian Brosnan got a brace, including a late equaliser in stoppage time, and then Daniel Okute scored an extra time winner, which I think is one of the biggest upsets of all time. I mean, what a way to come back 3-0 down in 77 minutes to get back to get 3 goals in 13 minutes. Wow, just fair play to Kerry, and obviously Colin Healy, who's had his issues with the FAI and stuff previously as well. Another game that had a lot of drama was Drogheda's 1-1 draw with Shamrock Rovers. Shamrock Rovers leading right up until the last minute, and then Andrew Quinn scoring a late dramatic goal. Ball pumped up by Dennison, and then it ended up in the box. A little bit of pinball, and then Quinn ended up scoring, and then unfortunately for Drogheda, they lost on penalties, with Ed McGinty becoming the hero for the Shamrock Rovers, so they progressed to the semis now. Finn Harps then lost 3-0 to Cork City, with Evan McLaughlin getting 2 goals there, and Shawnee Maguire getting the first as well. They're actually having a nice little spell at the moment under Jer Nash. And then St. Pat's beat Galway 3-1, but it wasn't easy. Jake Mulroney scored in the 83rd minute today, I think it was, and then Hurley got the equaliser, and then in extra time, that was actually in the 90th odd minute in stoppage time, and then Forrester and Garrick got goals in extra time to seal the semi-final spot. Someone did say Chris scored a nice free kick there. Chris Forrester for Pats. I think it was Jam in the TikTok comments said it, but the guys are getting the likes in there on TikTok anyway, so that's great. I'm just trying to see some of the other comments as well before I get off. Get your comments in, because if there's no comments coming in, I'm just going to be jumping off. I don't want to jump off. I want to stay on, but on YouTube, Dara Mannion says, if you calculate the group at the moment, there's still a chance for us to qualify if we win against Armenia, draw Portugal, and beat Hungary in the last game. We can come second. I just don't see it happening. I think it will take a miracle. I think we need to be perfect for the rest of the games. I can't. I'm going to Portugal, but I can't see us getting a result there. If we can get a draw, if Hamer plays like he played against England in the first half, we could potentially get a draw. But if we don't, then good luck to him on that, because it just won't be the case. But I don't believe after this campaign, going into the next campaign, that he will be manager. I'd be very, 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 very surprised, if I'm being honest with you, Dara. So that's just my view. Let me just read a couple of the TikTok comments there that are coming in, and then we'll just see how we go. Keep the likes coming in on TikTok, guys, and keep the follows coming in if you're new as well. Same on YouTube. Subscribe if you're new, please. Dara says no, we'll draw against Portugal in Dublin. I hope so. And James Munley asks me, do we still have a chance of qualifying? I don't believe so, but keep the faith if you want to keep the faith. I'll never tell you you're crazy. So you could say that if you like. Another person saying that we need to get Job Bellingham in. Joby or Job, I don't know. Joby Kenobi. Need to get Bellingham in. I mean, if he's open to it, I would be open to it. I don't think we should be snobby against any of these granny rule players. I think that we have to be open to some of our best ever players or granny rule players. John Walter, someone said, is he still eligible? He was a granny rule player, or maybe it was his mum, but either way, he wasn't firstborn Irish. He was born in England and he played for us, and he was one of our best players. So to turn up this snobbery to players that are from England, I just think it's a bit silly, to be honest. Wouldn't it be better if the FAI replaced the manager now, give more time to a new manager? It would, but I don't think they have the finances to basically do that, to be honest with you, or sack him. What do you think the turnaround to do? What do you do to turn around the youth player output in Ireland and get them playing at a top level? I mean, it's such a difficult one. We can just keep going back to the academy stuff and, applying more minutes to kids and stuff like that. But that's what we're hearing, but it's still not being done. So I don't think until that's being done, we can't really say too much on it, as in you have to be able to do it to then say it's working or it's not working, you know what I mean? So that would be my my opinion on that. He won't get into England. I think he's talking about Bellingham, Joby, his brother, Jude's brother. We'll have a good chance in a few years. Yes, we will. Who do you think from the under 21 should be called for the senior side in the next 12 months? I know someone keeps saying there about Mark O'Mahony being called up, but look, and this might sound weird or funny to some people, but I don't think we're actually have a problem with strikers at the moment. Evan Ferguson's doing fine. Adam Eda's scoring goals. Troy Parrott's in form as well. Just unlucky to get injured just before. So I don't think actually our forward players are the problem. You also have Johnny Kenny there as well at Celtic. So you have 4 players there that are decent enough. You'd obviously say that Evan's probably the elite one. Troy's probably next. Adam's probably similar enough level, and then Johnny Kenny. So I think we're all right in strikers. That Mark O'Mahony's not going to make a difference to us right now, as he keeps developing. I mean, you could say the same about Mason Melia, and you could say the same about Michael Noonan as well. So that's just my opinion on it, though. I don't know who we call from the next under 21s, because I don't think that any of them are going to make a difference. I mean, we need midfielders that can carry the ball, that can be good technically, that can open up space, can open up defences, and we just don't seem to have that technical player. That's what I was saying about getting Kieran Dewsbury Hall, who plays for Everton. He has been sensational since moving to Everton from Chelsea. He's a winner. He just won the World Club Championship with Chelsea, and was obviously involved with the Conference League as well last year. So he won that as well. So I think I'd be trying everything I could if I was in the FAI to get him to play for us or speak to him or whatever. Get Seamus Coleman and Jake O'Brien and Mark Travers on the case. People saying we're out of the World Cup and we have to beat Armenia home and beat Hungary second. Yeah, but I just don't think that this group is capable of getting that type of result based on what I've seen so far under Hamer. Um, Not one of them lads are footballers, and our manager hasn't a clue, says Damien Haughey. Is there a train in the background? Yeah, there is actually, Andy. Um, there's nothing I can do about that. Is Walter still eligible to play? Yes, he is. Or sorry, no, he's not. I thought you meant, was he eligible to play? Sorry. Any more comments coming in there on that before Dundalk to win the first division on Saturday night in Longford? Yeah, I'd say they will, to be honest with you. I think Joe Redmond deserves a call up to Ireland, says Bilal Abdi. Not for me personally, but if that's your view, then that's your view. Big thanks to all the people who are joining in on TikTok there and following. Someone says he needs to fund the league. They do need to fund it more, but they won't. Darragh Mannion has said that I think we need to get rid of Doherty and play Cullen further up. He's not a number 6, in my opinion. He's too small. Well, see, I think that Jack Taylor would actually be a good option as number 6 because he's a good size as well. And, you could get him to turn around, or sorry, not turn. You can get him to play that 6, and I think he'd be good at receiving the ball in the half turn and then getting us out and playing if that's the way we need to play. Obviously, I don't mind just going direct as well. I think going direct there's nothing wrong with that as well. Dara says, you think what? Sorry, I'm just a bit confused as to what you mean. Does Owen Elding have any chance of making the squad? I don't think so, unless he gets a move. I don't think he'll get a move. To be honest with you, or sorry, unless he gets a move to somewhere big. He was obviously linked with Juventus, so he's a class player. I think he's unbelievable, and I'd love to see him go to somewhere. But the problem with the League of Ireland is, and you've probably seen it with Josh Honahan, who's obviously in the squad. He's been linked with Lincoln, and Lincoln are terrible. Why is he not being linked with someone with like a higher ceiling? I think Josh has a higher ceiling. It's not his fault, obviously, that it's the club he's being linked to. But I do think that if we want to have a player like Josh Honahan in the squad, he needs to be playing for a higher level club. Lincoln are just, for me, that they're just not very good. And with Owen Elding, like who will he end up with? Because I certainly hope it's not a Lincoln style club or someone in League One. I'd rather see these players playing Championship or going abroad like Troy has done and making it a good kind of way of life playing for a side in Europe. Or like O'Dowd, I went to Ferencváros under Robbie Keane, so I thought that was a good move by him. Tom McDonald 868 says St Mary's School at Mines had 20 to 30 10-year-olds doing rugby training at 10 a.m. on a school day. We have rugby schools, we need soccer schools. I agree with you. And I think someone like Damien Duff would be brilliant at that. Or even if Damien Duff stepped out of maybe doing what he does management wise and actually started setting up like Damien Duff soccer schools or whatever, and he was the head it, and he was the one who was developing the players, I think that would be an absolute runner, because I saw so many players that he brought through at Shelbourne, developed them so much, that I think he'd be unbelievable at running an academy or something like that over here. I think he's brilliant. Manning has really stepped up for me, but I think Sam Curtis is next in line in a few years. The only thing about that is Sam Curtis is a right back, so Sam Curtis would be no good to us on the left hand side. He's a good player though. Manning has been good. He's doing well under Hamer, to be fair. One of very few. And someone's trying to say I'm violating a violation detected, some scam. Watch out for that, guys. Opinions on Kerry's recent unbelievable form this season. I literally just spoke about that recently. Before you joined, I was just talking about their big upset over Sligo Rovers. It was unreal. I'd say obviously Sligo probably thought they won the game after 61 minutes. Owen Elding hat-trick wrapped the game up, but Kerry, unbelievable. I think it's one of the best comebacks of all time, in my opinion. Carl Fitz 91 would like to see Bellingham in. Bazunu, no hope of returning, really. No, I don't think so. I think Kelleher's nailed down now for the next while, unless he gets a bad injury or he's ill. I think it'll be him constantly, if I'm being honest. Muldoon's his thoughts on the game tonight. I already spoke about it as well. If you guys go back to YouTube, you can hear my thoughts. I just kind of speaking and answering questions and stuff like that over on YouTube. So I did go and I did mention a lot of those games that you're talking about. So just rather than me repeat myself on this live stream, because I'm on live on YouTube as well, just go back and give it a listen in a few minutes, because I'm going to be jumping off in a minute now, because I've gone through all of the stuff that's happened this week in Irish football. There hasn't been that much actually, other than the actual League of Ireland stuff, but and then obviously losing to Armenia. And then Dara says, I think we'll lose 2-1 to Armenia. I hope not at home. If that happens, Hamer and the team will be booed out of the Aviva, and there won't be anyone for the last couple of games either as well. I think there's going to be a lot of hostility at that game, especially if we don't get a good result against Portugal away from home. But we'll see what happens. See, Ireland should have opted to get Pico instead of letting him go. It's easy saying that now. Fair play to Pico Lopez, because I don't think a lot of people know about his story, where he was basically contacted by the Cape Verde. Someone on LinkedIn contacted him and he ignored the message for about 9 months. And then someone sent him a follow-up months later, and then he ended up getting and becoming an international. And he's obviously played in the AFCON. He's played up against the likes of Mo Salah and Sadio Mane for their club, for their countries in Egypt and Senegal. And he's tested himself against the best. They've obviously beaten Santa Clara, who drew 1-1 with Benfica over the weekend. So that shows how good they are. That Shamrock Rovers got a great result. And I think Shamrock Rovers and Stephen Bradley has done a great job in moulding a really good side there. And a side that will, I think, be good in Europe this season. And I think they'll be better than last year. But they got great results last year, and people need to remember that as well. And that they're a good side, and themselves and Shells will be representing Ireland on the European stage in the next few weeks, and it's going to be great to see. And yeah, can't wait to see it, to be honest with you. But yeah, big thanks to everyone who's joined there tonight. I see our TikTok there, it's gone up to 2,000 likes, and I can't check it on YouTube till I get off. But yeah, I'm gonna get off now on this, so I'll be back again during the week or so. So make sure you head over to our YouTube, subscribe, like the video if you can as well, and if you're following on TikTok here, please make sure to give us a follow and a like on the video. I'll speak to you all later on TikTok, and I'm gonna go on YouTube now and just say good luck. Oh, so yeah, anyway, I'm gonna be shooting off, guys. Don't forget to get your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like the video as well. I'll speak to you later. Thanks for joining in, especially Dara and Brian 10 for joining in for the duration of this show. So thanks for that.